Friends, faculty, honored guests, and graduates, I am delighted to be with all of you on this beautiful day. I did not expect to be chosen to give your commencement address today. You may be wondering why a gray-haired, fat Mexican lady was chosen to give this speech. Well, I am here to confess that my sole qualification for being your speaker today is that I am old. I have lived on this earth for a long time. I am so old that when I was growing up, if I left my hot cocoa for a while and it went cold, I just had to drink it cold. Yes, I was born before the microwave. I lived before video games. Yes, I remember the Atari. The Atari was the first home video game. Tank. It took 9 minutes just to turn your tank around. I realize as I speak to you now that your mind is probably already on the parties happening later this evening and continuing on into this weekend and possibly into the following weekend as well. Well, I want you to put your party thoughts aside for a moment and pay attention. This is a time for reflection. This is a time for gratitude. This is a time to think of all the people who got your butt into the chair you are sitting in, just waiting to cross this stage and get handed a piece of paper. That piece of paper says that you accomplished something meaningful, so listen up. You did not get here by yourself. You are here because of dedicated professionals who worked long hours and gave their very best to you. There were custodial staff who swept and mopped the floors you walked on, who carried out heavy trash and cut grass and painted lines on the fields and did 1,000 other things that you may have never noticed or thanked them for. You ate food prepared by cafeteria workers who wanted to have food ready for you at the exact same time each day so that you wouldn't be late to class. They prepared that food with clean hands and willing hearts. There are the administrative staff. I don't mean just the administrators who get their names on the door and get to sit up here on the dais and hand out diplomas. I mean the secretaries who field calls from freaked out moms wanting to make sure that you got the permission slip she signed, but you just forgot to take it from the refrigerator. Or your nursing staff who wants each of you to be healthy and happy every day, so that you can learn well and eventually have your butt in that chair today that you are sitting in. As for your teachers, so many times at high school graduation, when someone at the podium asks you to honor your teachers, your thoughts quickly go to the rock star. You know who I'm talking about. When I was in high school, this was back in the dark ages when we had to read books that were printed on paper with bindings that we carried around in heavy bags. Back then, the most feared and revered teacher at my high school was Phyllis Levitt. She taught AP English and she was fierce. She gave teaching every ounce of herself, and she expected her students to give only their best. She used to look over her reading glasses and impart wisdom such as, "Literature is a rehearsal for life." Students were terrified of her. She asked us to read more, write more, think more than any other class we'd ever had. But after we graduated, when we hit college, graduate school, or had to fill out an application for why we deserved this job or grant or assistance, we were able to write competently. We learned how to organize our thoughts and lay out a persuasive argument. It was a song we sang in unison when we came home and saw her again years later. One after another, we would all say the same thing. You were the teacher who made a difference. You made me work harder than I thought I was capable of, and in the end, my life was changed for the better. Even now, as I'm telling you my story about Mrs. Levitt, you are thinking of that teacher. You are thinking of whomever it was who made a lasting impression on your 4 years of high school. And whoever that is, they are probably here today, and I urge you to seek them out. The parties can wait. Seek out that teacher and look them in the eye and tell them straight to their face, I hated your class. I thought I would crumble because of all that you asked of me. But I did not crumble. I held on, and I learned, and I grew, and today I am a better person because of you. High school teachers, they get the glory. They get to see all of you transform. You enter as awkward middle schoolers with big teeth and unfortunate hair and a not quite come together yet dress sense. And you leave sitting here the gorgeous, radiant young adults that you are today, ready to take the world by storm. The high school teachers get a lot of the glory. They work hard. They coach sports teams, direct musicals, lead the choir, and get the debate team to nationals, as well as teach and transform. But they get to sit here today and bask in the glory of the amazing people that you have become. My own mother taught first grade for 17 years. I can tell you firsthand that middle school, elementary school, and God bless them, early childhood educators work incredibly hard, and they deserve some props as well. My mother devoted herself to the art of teaching. There were countless late nights spent cutting out shapes and coloring in calendars and bulletin boards. There were a lot of evenings and weekends that my mother, like so many other non-glory educators, gave up sleep and time with her own family for students just like you. My mother loved her job. She has always said it is in the first grade that most students learn to read, and that art of decoding those letters into words and understanding a story was a skill her students would take with them and utilize for the rest of their lives. You all look like such smart people. I'm sure that if you thought about it for a minute, you could conjure up the name or face of one teacher you had before high school who made a difference. Here is some advice. Today, it is so easy to find someone. Google them. Find them on the Facebook or the Instagram, or else you can employ something called a pen and paper to write a letter, or utilize something called a telephone. Perhaps you've heard of it? Whatever method you use, I don't care if it's skywriting or a barbershop quartet, just make the time to reach out. It may not seem significant to you today. Today, I may just be a fat, gray-haired Mexican mother telling stories. But one day, hopefully several years from now, but someday, some of you will have children of your own, and you will sit down at the kitchen table with your child whom you adore. The sun will rise and set in your child's eyes. You will sit at the table with this child and you will try to unravel the mysteries of greater than, less than, or multiplication, or fractions, or subject-verb agreement, or when do you use a comma. And when this happens, it might occur to you that it was your fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Sherman, who taught you those things that you are able to teach your child now. Friends, you see, once we've shared stories, we're friends, right? Friends, I implore you, when it happens that you are on a job and you can figure out 7% interest in your head and you think to yourself, I can do this because of the way my sixth grade teacher taught me. Use the internet or the mail service or interpretive dance or any means at your disposal. Reach out to that teacher who knew you when you were small. Let them know that you were patient with your child and went over how to spell conscientious over and over and over again until your child got it. And you were patient with your child because you remember how patient your teacher was with you, and how when you finally got it, she was overjoyed. Don't be afraid to reach back and say to someone, "You made a difference for me." Finally, we have come to the tough part of my address. I am afraid I have come to dispel the myth. Everything you have ever read in a magazine or newspaper, everything on television and in the movies, is a lie. Here on this day, in this place, as we gather to celebrate your academic accomplishment, I am going to admit that while this is important, it is not the most important. The fact is that the most important decision you will ever make in your entire life is not where you go to college, or what you choose as a major, or if you become a stonemason, or what house you buy or car you drive. The most lasting impact to your life will be who you choose as your partner. Seek out the person who will celebrate all that you are. Find someone who will cherish you. Look for someone who has dreams for you that are bigger than your dreams for yourself. And this is important, my friends. Do not settle. If you cannot find the person who can bolster you up when you need it, do not accept second best. You deserve someone just as fabulous and wonderful as you are. And if you do not find that person, the truth is you will be just fine all by yourself. You can go through life independently and still thrive. You can still be happy. It is better to die alone with integrity than to spend a lifetime having your soul crushed. Friends, what I want is for each of you to leave here today and go on to have happy, healthy, fulfilling lives. Another truth is that happiness is found in helping others. Everything else is just an illusion. Drugs and alcohol are fine for a while, but they wear off. Same with retail therapy. You are taught from the media that a genetically altered, surgically implanted body that achieves the current ideal of perfection will bring you happiness. The great soothsayer Judge Judy said, and she really did say this, "Beauty fades, dumb is forever." Truly lasting happiness comes from lending a hand to someone else. Friends, hold the elevator door. Help someone to cross the street. Commit to serving in a soup kitchen at least one day a month and honor that commitment. Treat a kid to summer camp. Give your dollars to a crowdsourcing for bringing solar well pumps to arid lands. Volunteer with puppies and kitties, goats and pigs and horses and canaries. Help a fat old Mexican lady with her grocery bags. Every random act of kindness you perform feels good. This high does not fade. 10 years from now, 15 years from now, it will still make you happy. And unlike controlled substances, it only feels better and better the more you do it. You are at the beginning of your adulthood. You are about to leave this place and go on to start businesses, become nurses and doctors, and lawyers and accountants. You will teach and you will invent things that we cannot even begin to imagine on this day. You are going to invent flying cars, cell phones that bake chocolate chip cookies from scratch, paper made from corn husks, and hiking boots made from watermelon rinds. Your children are going to look back on the time of your childhood and marvel that your mother waited a whole 90 seconds for her coffee maker to brew a cup of coffee, that your father had to put gasoline in an automobile, that kids played video games with handheld controllers and not just with their thoughts. But even with all of the technology that we have now, with all the information we can access with our phones, you still have to bring your own discernment. You have to analyze everything you come across and ultimately decide for yourself. In other words, as Alexander Hamilton once said while riding his pet dolphin across the Red Sea, do the right thing. When you go out into the world and make your way, don't be evil. Be kind. The point isn't to have the most on your plate. The point is to look at the plates of the people around you, to share what's on your plate with the person whose plate is empty. None of you got your butts into these chairs alone. You will not leave here alone. Work hard and make a difference, and know that already here, on this day, at this time, I am already proud of you.